Today is day 23 of the Imitation of Christ in a Year. Today we're reading from Book 1, and we're reading chapters 8 and 10. Guarding against too much intimacy and avoiding superfluity of words. Book 1, Chapter 8. Guarding against too much intimacy. Open not thy heart to every man, but discuss thy business with one that is wise and fears God. Be rarely with young people and strangers. Fawn not upon the rich, and be not fond of appearing in the presence of the great. Keep company with the humble and the simple, with the devout and well-ordered, and converse of such things as are edifying. Be not an intimate of any woman, but in general commend all good women to God. Desire to be intimate only with God and his holy angels, and shun the acquaintance of men. We should have charity towards all men, but intimacy is not expedient. It happens sometimes that a person, while unknown, shines highly in good report, but whose presence offends the eyes of them that see him. Sometimes we think to please others with our company, and we begin rather to be displeasing to them from the bad qualities they discover in us. Practical reflection. Avoid worldly company, useless conversations, and those overflowings and attachments of the heart which are neither regulated nor governed by the love of God. For all these things dissipate the soul, withdraw it from God, hinder it from being recollected, and deprive it of that interior spirit which is so necessary for salvation. They expose it to many dangers and insensibly subvert all interior discipline. Let your friends be persons of piety, whose lives are regular and irreproachable, that their good example may withdraw you from sin and lead you to virtue. Happy the Christian who is attached only to Jesus Christ, to his duties and to his salvation, who lives in God and for God, and thus commences in time that which shall be his continual occupation for all eternity. Prayer. Grant, O Jesus, that I may love thee more than parents, relations, or friends, more than I love myself. Grant that I may earnestly endeavor to know thee, to love thee, and to follow thee, so that, having been accustomed and conformed to thee, I may not be exposed, as many Christians are, to the danger of appearing, after my departure hence, before a God whom I know not, whom I have never loved. For not to love thee in time is not to love thee for eternity. Whereas, if I endeavor to love thee now, I shall have reason to hope that I shall love thee forever. O most amiable God, O most loving God, grant that I may love thee with my whole heart, with my whole soul, and with all my strength, and with all my mind. Amen. Book 1, Chapter 10. Avoiding superfluity of words. Fly as much as possible from the tumult of men, for the treating of worldly affairs is a great hindrance, even though they be discoursed of with a simple intention, for we are too easily contaminated and ensnared with vanity. I would that many a time I had kept silence and not been in company. Why are we so fond of speaking and of talking idly together, when yet we seldom return to silence without some wound of conscience? The reason why we are so fond of talking is that we seek consolation from one another by much discoursing together, and we wish to lighten our hearts, wearied with various thoughts, and we are very fond of speaking and thinking of those things we love very much or wish for, or that we feel are a contradiction to us. But alas, it is often vainly and to no purpose, for this outward consolation is no small hindrance to the interior and divine consolation. Therefore we must watch and pray, lest the time pass away without fruit. If thou hast leave to speak, and it is expedient, speak those things which may edify. Evil custom and negligence about our spiritual advancement contribute much to the unguardedness of our tongue. But devout conferences upon spiritual things are no small help to spiritual progress, especially where persons of congenial mind and spirit are associated together in God. Practical reflection. Watch and pray is the simple means which Jesus Christ prescribes to enable a Christian to resist temptation, to avoid sin, and to secure his salvation. To speak little to creatures and much to God, to renounce useless and curious conversations, To speak only what is good and necessary is an excellent method of becoming an interior man, of preserving purity of heart and peace of conscience, and of becoming entirely united to God. A soul which gives itself through the senses to creatures and lives not an interior life, but amuses itself with trifles, is not at all in a state to relish the things of God, or to apply to prayer or recollection, which are so useful and so necessary for salvation. Why, says St. Augustine, why dost thou, O dissipated and wandering soul, seek content in created objects, in the goods and pleasures of life? Seek within thyself by recollection the only true and sovereign good who is there, and who alone can satisfy thy desires. Prayer. Give me, O God, the spirit of interior recollection, which will make me attentive to thy holy will and faithful to thy graces. Grant that the remembrance of thine awful presence may remind me continually of thy blessed life and conversation, and effectually control me during my earthly pilgrimage. I am weary, O God, of living in exile from thy presence, and of being so little affected by the consideration of thy majesty as to do nothing to please thee. What can I find in heaven or on earth that is comparable to thee? Thou art the God of my heart. Grant I may be ever sensible of thy presence, and desire only the happiness of pleasing thee in time, that thou may be my portion for eternity. Amen.